Hey y'all, it's Santana, aka Tana's Book Diary, and welcome back to my channel. Based off the title of this video, we will be talking about my January, February, and March reads. I'm excited because I read quite a bit. Let me get out my computer. So usually, I just write in my notes because I have a Goodreads, a Storygraph, and I just keep note of what I read. This is my list so far. It's not pretty at all, but I just do like a rating system, 1 to 5 stars. January was a nonfiction, social injustice, sociological, introspective, I'm just using all the words, all the keywords, like month. Like everything I was reading was very timely to what was happening because that was the mindset and the mood I was in. So first book of the year was Flamboyance by George M. Johnson, and I rated that 5 out of 5. I put a post on my Instagram, and that was such an amazing read to start the year off. It was about the Harlem Renaissance. It was 1920s, and it was about LGBTQ icons during that time frame. So Josephine Baker, we had Ethel Waters, Ma Rainey, Betsy Smith, we had Langston Hughes, Countee Cullen, and so many other great Black LGBTQ impactful icons during this time period. First of all, I love the post that I made on this because it's just simple, but it was just so, it's about 12 pivotal Black queer creatives during that time frame. And I'm someone who just loves Black history. I was only familiar with about 3 or 4 of them. So Ma Rainey, because I saw the film. Josephine Baker, because bananas? I don't know why that's the first thing. The banana skirt. I had seen the movie with Lynn Whitfield. Langston Hughes, come on. Every English, AP English class, what? But everyone else I was either vaguely aware of or I had no idea. So I just love diving in and learning about all these pivotal people and how their work has transcended time, and what they did in the 20s has gotten us to where we are in 2025. So, and I love George M. Johnson. Their work is amazing. I read All Boys Aren't Blue last year, and man, I was moved. So great way to start off the year with Flamboyance. I definitely recommend the audiobook because it had jazz infusion in between each of the essays, and I just love that little addition. Then I read Belly of the Beast by Deshaun L. Harrison. I gave that a 5-star read as well. It's an exploration of anti-fatness and anti-Blackness within our society. So be mindful of the topics like SA, fat phobia, transphobia, homophobia, and racism. It was an amazing listen. It was hard, but it was needed, and I definitely recommend their work. That was my first time listening or reading any of their work, but I had seen the recommendation from the King of Reads on YouTube, who I love. So I had to dive in. It was heavy, so definitely go in with caution. My third book of the year was Medical Bondage by Deidre Cooper Owens. I gave that 4 stars out of 5. I enjoyed it. It talked about the dark and racist history of gynecology. White doctors would use enslaved Black women as the guinea pigs to gynecology and any other form of like modern day medicine, but specifically gynecology. And to read about and in depth the mutilation of enslaved Black women, it was hard. And I think that's partially why I gave it 4 stars, but I just felt like there wasn't any like closure. I don't know. It was just something about it that I was like, it's not 5 stars. All of my reads with January, for the most part, it's gonna have a proceed with caution. Please take your time, patience. Fourth book, Traveling Black by Mia Bay. I gave this 4 stars. It was a long read. It was a lot of stories of the different forms of traveling and transportation. So car, plane, train, walking. So I understood why it was like 15 or so hours. I just think it could have been shorter. It's a history of traveling while Black, and the Green Book was mentioned and how you could see which areas were sundown towns, which areas were safer for Black people to travel through. And I thought it was very interesting, just because, one, I know very little about the Green Book, but as someone who has family in the South, like I was very aware of like, oh, you don't want to go to this area after a certain time, or you don't want to go to this area period, even if it's daylight, because people over there are very, very blatantly racist and will do whatever they please to you, however they please, and they know there will be no repercussions. So it's just interesting to see that in the 50s, in the 60s, being told through the lens of like people who actually lived through it. The fifth book I read was The Intersectional Environmentalist by Leah Thomas. I gave that 4 stars. I actually had the physical copy, but I was more in my audiobook bag in January, so I listened to it through audio. It was a very short read, and I think I actually gave this 4 stars because I felt like we could have delved deeper into that topic. So complete opposite of Traveling Black, which was too long. I thought The Intersectional Environmentalist was too short. It definitely was a starter to talking about how race and the environment and climate change all kind of collide at one time. It was also timely because at the time, the California wildfires, which sent a lot of people, a lot of Black people out of their homes and out of their communities and forced elsewhere because of how bad the fires were. So it was very timely, but also the fact that a lot of the US was experiencing either super warm days in January that usually never do, or they were getting snow in places like St. Louis and Louisiana where it doesn't usually snow. So it was very timely on that. I thought it was great. I felt like that would be great for like an introductory course in college for some reason. It was just very statistic based, which I kind of liked, but I just wish it was deeper. And I wish we also went into how we can make small but effective change with the environment from where we are. My 6th read was Revolution in Our Time by Tekla Mongoon. I gave that 4 stars. About the Black Panther Party in Oakland, California, and its creation and its ultimate fall. And it discusses the breakfast program, the nursing program, how they help seniors, all the chapters across the states, but it also delved really deep into the hardships of the Black Panther Party, or what it was like being in the party in the midst of many prominent leaders being forced to exile, being jailed, being killed. I love honesty, and I have to say this was that. So I definitely recommend this read. And then my 7th book of January was What's Prisons For by Bill Keller. I gave that 4 stars. It was more focused on prison reform than it was abolition, and I'm all for prison abolition. But I wish there was more conversation. I mentioned I wish there was more conversation on rehabilitation. We did like see some, or Bill Keller did delve a little bit into other countries and how they use prison as a form of rehabilitation. I wish there was more conversation of what the US has done. Maybe there wasn't a lot, so that's why it wasn't mentioned. But I'm all for rehabilitation and finding ways that we can positively impact those who are incarcerated for the meantime until we can abolish it. Okay, so that was all my January reads. I was definitely in my knowledge bag, my what's going on with the world, how can I improve myself bag. And February was kind of just like all over the place, which I love too. It was pretty eclectic reads. Ruin Road by Lamar Giles was my first read of February. I gave this 3 stars. I did tab very little, as you can see. I was so intrigued by the cover, but it just was not good. It's Cade Webster. So he's like a football player at a predominantly white school, and he lives on the other side of town, and his teammates are covert, you know, they love a good microaggression. And he just hates that everywhere he goes, people see him as a threat. And so he's tired of that. He makes a deal with this guy at this pawn shop, and that deal basically is like, I want no one to be afraid of me. But he ends up getting like the worst deal of his life, the deal with the devil. And it was such a great premise. Like, it kind of fell flat. That's what I said. Like, it fell flat. It just felt like once we got to the end, and it was like, all that for this? I love reading about black male leads. I don't read too many books that do have that, so that's my goal too. Black male authors, but also black male leads. But yeah, 3 stars for Rowan Road. I listened to Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. I gave that 4 stars, but it's a high 4. It was really good, very timely, and that's why I listened to it. Because of the wildfires, because of the state of the world. Every day something is being overturned, changed, snatched away. I'm just like, what's next? That was my first ever Octavia E. Butler read, and I hope to listen to Parable of the Talents next. I think I gave it 4 because I wasn't in the mindset for science fiction. It was unfortunate at how timely it was and how not much has changed. You know what I'm saying? We have phones. But the way she foresaw this happening, I don't want to applaud that because I hate that happened, but her mind. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And that was a high read. Everyone was recommending it. I had to get on it, but I'm excited to read Parable of the Talents. My 3rd book of February, Broke Down Profits by S.A. Cosby. I gave that 5 stars. That's my guy. I did listen to it on Audible. Not a fan that it was on Audible, but I just did the free trial and canceled it before it charged my card. It was narrated by an actor I don't like, and a problematic actor, and one who I love. What's his name? Brian Tyree. It's a J name. Brian Tyree. No, it's not. And Brian Tyree Henry. Love him. Love him. He was in Atlanta, if you don't know, or Causeway, or Bullet Train, or Eternals. He's in quite a bit. He's a great actor. And Dasha Polanco from Orange is the New Black. They voiced the 3 characters. I loved it. I love S.A. Cosby. He's definitely one of my top favorite authors. It was so immersive, from the sound effects to the music to down to the running when they would be having like chase scenes. I just loved it. The little in-between music cuts as if it's like a commercial. But it's 3 of them. They run in a scam where Dasha Polanco's character gets with guys in hotel rooms, and the actor I don't like and Brian Tyree Henry's character would basically be in the closet, ransack the guy's bag, steal his money, and like dip. But they ended up offing this guy that they were just supposed to steal from. Took his bag anyway. And it leads them on this wild goose chase because they don't realize that this guy has history with some worse guys. And we just basically follow them on this chase down the East Coast. It was kind of like a nice little lift of my spirits because January was such heavy reads that it was nice to laugh. With the Audible free trial, I listened to Technically Speaking by Michael Elliott. I gave that 4 stars out of 5. Honestly, I think I should have gave that 3. Like, it's not bad, but like now I'm thinking about it, it should have been 3 stars. It was voiced by Keith Powers, my man. And Coco Jones, my girl. So it was like a rom-com. It was about Coco Jones' character. She's, you know, working this part-time gig at this cafeteria at this tech company. She's super smart, knows how to code. Smartest girl, but because she didn't go to college, she's like feeling a little down and discouraged, and you know, she's pushed and motivated to go after this entrepreneurship opportunity where she can get some money to like upload her app, get her app up and running. You know, she does a little something that I don't want to spill. I don't know if it's a spoiler, but like she does something. She wins that, you know, the 50,000, and she works with Keith Powers' character, who is the owner of the tech company, and like they get close and it kind of goes from there. I love the autism representation of her son. As someone who works with people with disabilities, it was nice to kind of see that reflecting in the story. Looking at this 4-star rating, I definitely should have gave it 3 because the way the romance happened was very weird, and I was just like, this would not flow in real life. Like, I would be ill boo if this was a real life story, but because it was a story, I kind of ate it up at the time. But I definitely want to give this 3. Like, I'm changing my rating because the way it ended, I was not pleased. Then my next read, The Poisons We Drink. She's too far up there, but I'm gonna put her on the screen. The Poisons We Drink by Bethany Baptiste. I gave that 4 stars. It was a fantasy with the black lead, pink hair, which, like, I love that. And it was a nice, like, change of pace. Like, I feel like February was definitely my most, like, eclectic of reads, and just truly the definition of mood reading. But it takes place in DC. I'm from the DMV. So it takes place in DC, again, timely because it was talking about congressmen and people in the, you know, in the Senate. So it was very timely, okay? This girl, she's trying to figure out who took her mom's life. Who did it, why, where, we're meeting up. It's definitely beginner-friendly fantasy, I think. So I think if you're kind of like, where do I start? I definitely think The Poisons We Drink is a good read to start on. And then my last read of February was Stranded by Chris Bruno. That was also on Audible during the free trial. I gave that 3 stars for sure. It starred Taraji P. Henson and Tracee Ellis Ross. They are friends who haven't seen each other in 10 years. So I don't know what kind of friends. I mean, like, what kind of friends they are. They kept saying best friends. I was like, They meet up for Tracee Ellis Ross's character's 40th birthday. They go on this cruise. Everything that you could think can go wrong. Like, I thought it was also timely. Everything was timely with these books because of like the whole plane situation. They had like a plane issue, a crash, then a boat crash, and then, like the title, they're stranded. And so we toggle back and forth from like past of like how they survived and what they did during that time, and then present as they're telling the detective what was happening, who, like, because it's an active homicide case, so they're like retelling the story as we're listening to it. I gave it 3 stars because, again, it kind of just was like, I wasn't moved. It was funny though because Tracee Ellis Ross and Taraji P. Henson, but it wasn't like really good. Whew, I feel like I've been talking, so let's go through this March. March, I read Family Lore by Elizabeth Acevedo. 5 stars, 5 out of 5. Chef kiss. What did I put? Because my review, I think, was pretty good. I did like a cute post. I'll put it up here. It was so cute. So trigger warning, it does mention like infertility, mental illness, and infidelity. So if those things cause you any stress or anxiety, you know, be mindful. It's mentioned heavy. I think this is my new favorite genre, which is intergenerational stories. I love a good family story. I love a good family dynamic. I love something that delves into generational curses and mental health and the growth within family, especially women-led families, because I have a women-led family. And so reading this, I saw myself or family members or aunts that I have that have experienced some of these similar things, and it felt very like, whoa, does this play about me? I felt like I was in the living room with this family. They're Dominican. It's 3 generations. They live in New York, and we toggle from past to present about each aunt, each mother. I just thought it was interesting how Elizabeth writes. I love her. I first heard of her because of her poetry. Like, I loved slam poetry in high school, and so I was so into her poetry, and then I got into her works, and she just has an amazing way of telling such layered stories about people where by the end of the book you feel like you know them so well, like they're your family. My second read of March was When a Wolf Loves the Moon by Granger. I gave that 4 out of 5 stars. Love Granger. During November, December of last year, I was reading all of her books. Like I was just back to back to back to back, series after series, magic, HBCUs, wolves, witches, vampires, the whole gambit. Black. I loved it. I gave this one 4 stars. It wasn't my favorite. I feel like my favorite definitely was The First Family. But this one was good. I just felt like it was missing something. Even though it was like 500 plus pages, I felt like this is it. This is how we're ending. So I think I gave it a 4 out of disappointment that it wasn't continued. But I followed Granger on Instagram and she was like, this is gonna be like a 7-book series and we're only the 3rd book in. So I'm gonna be patient, but yeah, I really loved it. I love Maggie Gray. I love her and Namir's storyline. I love Asha and Susie's storyline. I can see a book about each of them, honestly, but I really love what she's doing with this like magical HBCU series. Like I'm rooting for all Black authors to be able to have multiple books, multiple series. So I'm just excited for her. My 3rd book of March was Allegedly by Tiffany D. Jackson. I gave that 4.5 stars out of 5. I think the only thing I was a little like about, which is why I gave it 4.5, was the voice of the narrator sometimes. And that's the thing about audiobooks. Sometimes the narrators, I'd be like, okay, let me hone in on what is being said, not how it's being said. Because sometimes the voice, I get distracted, I have to pause it. But overall, I enjoyed Allegedly so much. Trigger warning, child abuse, just abuse, mental, like verbal abuse. SA is mentioned like briefly. If you were in a group home or in foster care of some sort, this could be bringing back memories if you have. So just be mindful. It's really like heavy because it's also about death and murder, and racism. So again, Tiffany, I had to, after reading, I was like, whoa, that was a heavy. And the ending just had me in a tizzy. I was like, what? She was 9, accused of murdering a little white infant. Boom, you're 16 now, and we are kind of figuring out what the heck happened. So I was totally immersed into the drama. I was like sitting up. I was shook when I got to the end. I was like, what the heck did I just read? 4th book, Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. 4 stars out of 5. I was in my Tiffany D. Jackson bag, clearly. And I read Grown on my Kindle and audiobook, so I toggle between the 2 of those. Stressed me out. I listened to it on my first video, actually, on BookTube a little bit while I was setting up my bookcases. I was stressed. And I think I was so stressed, that's why I gave it 4 stars, because I don't want to be that stressed while reading. Like, I'm enjoying it, but I'm also like, now I'm like, the food I'm eating while listening is not tasting good no more. My mood is now on the ground. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to have fun anymore. Like, this would kind of ruin my mood. And like, that's why I gave it 4 stars, because if you can do that, great. But then I gave it 4, not 5, because if you can do that, not great. It was stressing me out how much I wanted to jump into the book and off, I can't even think of this man's name, Corey. I wanted to off him. I wanted him out. Like, he was pissing me off at how he was manipulating Enchanted and making her feel crazy that she wanted to leave him. Sir, you're 27. She is 17. This is ridiculous. What the heck? I kept saying, where are the parents? Where are the parents? Where is enforcement? Where is the help? Like, I was pissed off. Like, I was literally like pausing, turning my Kindle off, and just sitting and staring at a wall. Like, I was just frustrated, because this is reality for a lot of people, especially in the music industry. And again, this is the word of the video, clearly, timely. So timely. And it was frustrating because this is real life. This is real life. This is not just made up in Tiffany's head. And even in her author's note, she mentioned her own experiences of situations like this. And it just was frustrating, because how he was just making her feel crazy, how he was using her parents against her, turning her against her parents, turning her against her siblings. As you can see, I'm passionate. Oh my God, trigger warning, I don't think I mentioned it. SA, murder, predatory behavior, sexualization of a young Black girl, the adultification of Black girls, racism, the whole thing. Just it was so good. But like, I would never reread that again. I recommend it, but be cautious, because that will mess your whole week up, okay? And my last and most recent read of March was They Bloom at Night by Trang Ton Tran. I haven't even rated it yet. I think I'm gonna give it 3 stars. Interesting premise. We follow Noon and their mother, both Vietnamese, living in Mercy, Louisiana. It seems that they had just recovered from a previous hurricane, and it's kind of like in this post-apocalyptic world. They lost their husband, her mom's husband, her father, and her brother, her mom's son. And their mom is holding out hope for them to become reincarnated. It's a little bit of body horror, racism, transphobia. And it seems that Noon is overtaken by this monster or this sea creature during another hurricane. The reason I gave it 3 stars is I listened to the whole book, but I'm already struggling to remember what happened. And I feel like that was because the story wasn't that memorable. Good premise, and I've seen it everywhere. The cover is beautiful, but I just can't really remember too much else. I definitely would give it another try, maybe physical or like on my Kindle. But I definitely think if I see it and read it, I would have a different response. But it is almost 7:30 and the sun is about to set. So I want to say thank you so much for watching this video. Have you read any of these books, or are you thinking about adding them to your TBR? What did you read between January and March? But yeah, let me know what you guys are interested in. If you have any video ideas, I'm open to any. I'm currently working on my Legendborn reread video. But if there's any other videos in the meantime, like, please feel free to drop some ideas. I'm open for anything. Thank you guys for so far 31 subscribers. I really appreciate you guys subscribing, liking, and commenting on my videos. It does not go unnoticed. But yeah, thanks for watching today's video. I'm Santana, aka Tana's Book Diary.